This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing in July 2025. With the new season and the new brawler, let's see how much the meta has shifted so far. Alright guys, the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Doug. Now the whole reason why Doug is meta right now is because of his new healing trait. Doug can charge his supers now by healing himself and his allies. The supercharge per heal on an ally is proportionally to the healing done. Healing an ally gives 1.2 times the amount of supercharge as damaging an enemy for the same amount. Doug's fast food star power does not charge his super, but his self-service star power will. Now even though Doug is pretty good right now because he has this new healing trait, you still need to be playing him on maps with lots of walls and bushes. Doug's short range limits his offensive and defensive capabilities, but he has enough range to attack enemies and heal allies that are at most a tile behind walls. With this, he can use this to his advantage by attacking enemies and healing allies behind walls. This strictly limits throwers that can otherwise take cover behind walls as well. Now probably one of the best things about Doug is running into the enemy team like a chicken with no head and activating your super right before you die. When aiming to defeat a specific enemy or group of enemies, Doug can simply use his super and charge towards the group to attack, because getting defeated under the effects of the super will not drop any collectibles that puts his team in a losing situation. Make sure to take note of the duration of his super when using this strategy. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Bull. Now Bull is the strongest he's ever been because of the rework to his super. Bull's super allows him to charge a very long distance in any direction, destroying all obstacles in his way. Since Bull can deal maximum damage when he's close to his target, this ability can be used for getting Bull close enough to enemies to defeat them. Make sure to aim your super correctly and predict the enemy's movement so you can reach the enemy properly to defeat them, or use his Stomper gadget to get as close as possible to the enemy. Now what's also great about Bull's super is you can use it to play passively and escape the enemies when you're in danger. Bull's super can be used as an escape tool to get away from the enemies when in danger because of his super's long charging distance, which is useful in game modes like Bounty when overwhelmed by enemies. However, he's not impervious to damage while charging, so be wary of nearby enemies. Not just like Doug, Bull does have a short main attack range, so even him you want to be playing him on maps with lots of walls and bushes. Bull can deal a lot of damage when he's within close quarters of his target and has high health, but can't deal maximum damage when he isn't close. Take advantage of bushes, obstacles, or thin choke points to ambush and defeat enemies. Therefore, in more opened up areas or maps, try to dodge enemy attacks. Bull has a higher movement speed than most brawlers, so he can rush enemies and avoid their attacks more easily. It's ideal to dodge enemy attacks and not tank damage, as that allows enemies to quickly charge up their supers. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Charlie. Now Charlie's super meta right now because her main attack range was increased. Supercell recently buffed Charlie's main attack range back to 9 tiles from 8.33, and this extension is a big deal. It lets her reliably poke and pressure from mid-range without overexposing herself, which was one of her key weaknesses. This adjustment restores much of her former presence while keeping her balance, and now she dominates zoning while staying safe. Now in case you guys didn't know, they actually decreased Charlie's super charge rate back in March. Charlie's super now charges faster, needing only 6 hits instead of 7 to activate. Once activated, her Pestilence Hypercharge spawns 3 spiderlings that add consistent chip damage and pressure around her cocoon. These spiderlings are great for dealing enemies, disrupting pushes, and synergizing well in Mosaic, Gem Grab, and Brawl Ball. Now without a doubt, Charlie's super is still easily one of the best aspects to her entire kit. Charlie's cocoon super provides not just crowd control, but also protection because she can intercept enemy rushers like tanks or assassins to peel for her team. Her spider gadgets helps track down hiding enemies or protect against dangerous flankers. In modes with objective tanks or high mobility threats, she can cancel enemy supers, clear lanes, or lock down targets effectively. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Bo. Now Bo's super is great to lock down choke points and surprise the enemy team. Bo's super can be used to defend critical areas and choke points on the battlefield. Enemies heading in the area will take high damage when they step on the traps. It can be utilized to cover the gem mine and gem grab to damage enemy brawlers who are gathering gems from it. It can also be used to cover key choke points in hot zone, making Bo an ideal control brawler. Now I definitely recommend practicing strafing depending on how you want to project the spread of your arrows. Bo always shoots 3 arrows from left to right, so you can take advantage of this to control the spread of your arrows. If you want to concentrate fire in a small area, move left while firing, allowing more arrows to hit a single target. For an attack with more spread, you want to be moving right. The space between each arrow will be increased, giving the attack a wider spread. However, the former strategy only works on stationary targets, as brawlers will most likely be moving and can thus dodge all 3 arrows. Now don't get me wrong, Bo has pretty much always been a decent brawler, at least in the meta, and that was all thanks to his super. Bo's traps can be effectively lobbed over walls, making them an excellent tool for countering brawlers hidden in bushes on the other side of a barrier. By strategically tossing a trap just ahead of their hiding spot, you can force them to walk into it, as they lack the ability to cross the wall unless they are airborne or equipped with a destructive super. Additionally, with the tripwire gadget, you can inflict immediate damage on your unsuspecting opponent. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Hank. Now the only reason why Hank is at the top of the meta now is because of his hypercharged homing fistules. When activated, Hank torpedoes will now curve towards enemies or a wall if his path is obstructed. This allows Hank to gain more value from his super, and by gaining those stat buffs as well, it makes Hank even scarier to face on those closed off maps. Now whenever you're playing Hank and you're struggling hitting your main attacks, please remember this specific tip with him. When approaching an enemy, always charge your bubble in the opposite direction of that target. When the bubble is at its maximum size, quickly rotate the attack joystick to aim towards the enemy and immediately release it. This strategy catches the enemy off guard, as they will not be able to gauge a safe distance from you while your bubble is not facing them. Now in the current meta with all these crazy new brawlers running around, you gotta be running this specific build when playing Hank. The best loadout for all maps and modes is the barricade gadget, the it's gonna blow star power, and then using the damage and health gears. This is because Hank has one of the highest burst damages in the game, which can be greatly boosted with the damage gear and the it's gonna blow star power, helping you get within range. The health gear is gonna be great because Hank has terrible natural regeneration, and you want to spend as little time as possible to heal up so you can immediately go back to attacking again. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Kaze. Now when playing Kaze, I recommend using your geisha main attacks against squishy brawlers. The reason I recommend this main attack mostly against them is because Kaze will have a much easier time taking them down, because with a brawler like Kaze, she needs to be up close and personal since she doesn't have a lot of health. By strictly targeting low health brawlers or brawlers that can't deal a lot of burst damage up close, she is going to be feasting. Now as far as needing to deal with the mid to longer range brawlers, that is when you should be in your ninja mode using those main attacks. Now what makes Kaze extremely versatile and really strong is the fact that she has this ninja aspect to her kit. She has her geisha aspects to deal with the closer range brawlers, but this ninja attack gives her more range with her main attacks and allows her to stay engaged throughout the match. This main attack helps Kaze stand her ground and charge up her super. Now definitely hands down without a doubt, something that makes Kaze 10,000 times better in the meta is running her hypercharged ancient energy. I mean come on now, the fact that you can deal the damage instantly and you dash 30% faster, I mean this hypercharge is completely broken. It's going to be pretty difficult to dodge against a really good Kaze, and the amount of damage you can deal with her hypercharge plus the mark, yeah, you can pretty much just kiss your life goodbye. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Gus. Now Gus's super is such a great way for him to carry his entire team. If you're playing with a bunch of randoms, then you can use your super onto yourself every time and just increase your survivability so you can try your best to cause pressure by yourself. Even though Gus is a support brawler, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get the win. Now of course, using your super onto yourself or your teammates is the best way to make the most out of his spirit animal star power. Whoever you use your super onto will be able to deal an extra 25% damage for the next 5 seconds, and that can come in clutch in whatever game mode you are playing in. You can use your super onto yourself, gain the shield, and then go aggro to defeat a weak enemy with the additional damage buff. Now without a doubt, Gus definitely has one of the best gadgets in the game, and that is going to be his cookie popper gadget. When activated, all spirits on the map explode, dealing 2240 damage to the enemies. This is such a great way to defeat the enemies that are lower than 2240 health, especially when that ghost spawns next to them. As soon as you connect with your shot, you need to be spamming your gadget button so you instantly pop that ghost and defeat your target. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Finks. Now with Finks, I recommend keeping your distance since you have a pretty long main attack range. The good thing about Finks is that he has a main attack range of 8.33 tiles, which is pretty good. This will help him stand his ground against the mid to longer range brawlers on those opened up maps. I would still recommend to stay within mid range of your target due to the slower projectile speed, but to also increase your chances of hitting them with at least 2 of your projectiles. Now probably one of the best times you need to be using Finks' super is when you need to regain control of the map. When you're in a tough spot and need to push back up the map, placing your super down and giving your team the upper hand due to the time warp could help you dodge incoming projectiles to push the enemies back. Just the super alone might be enough to cause the enemies to play way more passively. Now something that I personally love about playing Finks that puts the enemies at a huge disadvantage is running his hieroglyph halt star power. With this star power, enemy brawlers hit by Finks' attack have their reload speed decreased by 30% for 3 seconds, kinda like Willow's Love is Blind star power. Now even though the reload speed decrease will last for 3 seconds, you still want to connect your shots onto your target so that you prolong that decrease in their reload speed. This will give you an even bigger of an upper hand, and this will allow you to defeat the enemy since they won't have the ammo to take you down. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Jae Young. Now with Jae Young, I recommend firing your attack where you plan on running for that speed boost. This is a very helpful strategy, especially at the start of the match. You can shoot your slipstream wherever you want to go and just run along following that path to take advantage of the speed boost. This can help you get to the objective quicker, get to mid quicker, or gain control of the map first by winning that first engagement. Now even though Jaeyoung is a support brawler, sometimes you're gonna need to deal that additional damage, so that's when I recommend staying in his party mode. What's interesting is that Jaeyoung deals more damage when he is in his party mode compared to his work mode. It's kind of ironic because you would think that a brawler in work mode would do more damage, especially when it's not the healing attack. Anyways, when you need to play more aggro and carry your team, just stay in party mode and take advantage of that increased damage. Now a huge tip I have to give you guys about Jaeyoung is don't be afraid to use up your ammo because Jaeyoung's reload speed is pretty fast. Now with Jaeyoung's 1.45 fast reload speed, he can be extremely toxic to deal with. He can just constantly heal up his teammates or speed them up, which can be annoying to deal with when playing against a very good Jaeyoung. But when you're playing with him on your team, take advantage of that stat to frustrate the enemy team. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Ali. Now with Ali, always take advantage of her whenever she is enraged. Ali is definitely going to be at her strongest whenever she is enraged. You need to take advantage of the increased movement speed and attack range buff to try and either deal damage to charge your super or better yet to get a kill. The odds of you being enraged throughout the match is pretty high, so it really feels like a disadvantage when you aren't enraged. Now even though Ali's cold-blooded gadget was recently nerfed, it's still going to be paired very well with her super. Being able to activate your gadget and be enraged for almost the entire duration of your super is pretty disgusting. This way you won't have to rely and pray that there's a nearby enemy with less than 50% health and you can go aggro on your own terms. I would suggest saving your gadget every time you use your super just to make Ali even deadlier when she goes invisible. Now just like her cold-blooded gadget, the you better run, you better take cover star power was recently nerfed but is still very good. Of course you want to use this star power because this makes Ali even stronger when she's enraged. So with this star power you're increasing your reload speed by 25% plus including the increased movement speed and attack range. I mean, it's just absolutely lethal. This is going to make Ali even more unstoppable and one of the best brawlers in the entire game. Well anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that video, I highly recommend you guys go check out this video right here.